Hello everyone, my name is Annika Villas and I'm excited to welcome you to today's webinar, Redefining E-learning and Onboarding in the Age of AI. We're in for a fascinating session. I'm joined by two incredible experts, Dr. Shokoofeh Ketabchi and Marc Leidner, who bring deep insights into how AI is transforming corporate learning. Shokoofeh will kick things off by exploring the broader impact of AI on learning, covering different use cases and how organizations can implement AI strategically. Then Marc will take us into the practical side, sharing real-life examples of how AI-generated content is already shaping learning journeys today. But before we dive in, just a few quick notes about how the session will run. You are all muted by default, but we really want to hear from you. So please use the questions or chat box below at any time to share your questions or thoughts. We'll address as many questions as we can during the Q&A at the end. And don't worry, your curiosity is more than welcome. This is meant to be an interactive session. By the way, I am not a robot. Now, who are we? We are Fellow Digitals. We are Fellow Digitals. Since 1997, we've been pioneers in online collaboration, helping organizations grow by connecting, informing, and training their people. With teams and customers around the globe, we provide powerful solutions through our own e-learning, our learning management system, and intranet platform. Later in the session, you'll also hear from Marc, one of our founders, who will give you a sneak peek at how AI is integrated into our LMS in action. But first, let's get inspired. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Shokoofeh Ketabchi. Shokoofeh, we're so happy to have you with us. Could you start by telling us a little bit about your background and your journey with AI?
Hello and good morning. Thank you, Annika, for the kind introduction. And welcome everybody to our today's session. Actually, it's 9 in the morning in the Netherlands, and I know that everybody's joining from different locations, so a very warm welcome. This is actually our second presentation about the role of AI in company onboarding and learning and development. My name is Shokoofeh. I've spent a long time at university. I have a PhD in business informatics from the Henley Business School. I've also studied at MIT in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and I work as an AI strategy consultant. From next week, I will join Capgemini as a senior manager in intelligent process and performance, where I will set up the AI agents division and will continue working on the new developments in AI. I've also co-authored a couple of books. The last one about AI and return on investment. How to build a modern business with ChatGPT. I actually had a meeting yesterday with a publisher that I'm going to publish the second AI book to discuss one of the many use cases that we discussed in the first book. So if you're interested to know more, I will be happy to share more information about the new book as well. I also volunteer in different networks in mentorship. I do believe in learning and development in different organizations, and not only inside organizations, but also in networks. And I think that mentoring is also really, really important. So to go to the today's session, I think, Annika, we have a poll to share with our audience, just to ask them how are the learning and developments at their organization. So if you'll be kindly sharing the poll. For everybody, if you can locate the poll at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We'll be happy to hear from you how it works in your organization. Well, has your company updated their L&D strategy in the past 3 years? And if yes, what has changed the most? And if you have further comments, please put it in the chat as well. I will just give you a few minutes.
So most people, I think, have found the polls part. Yeah, it's in the right corner below. And we give you some moments to submit your vote. But there seems to be already a trend for having introduced new technology or tools like LMS or AI tools.
Okay, yeah, I also see that the majority, and I'm really happy to see it, that there are lots of companies have introduced new tools and new tech for their learning and development, which is really good, especially at the age of AI, that we're going to talk about it just in a few minutes. It's really important to keep yourself up to date with the latest trends. Okay, so I think we can continue with the presentation, and please submit your votes if you haven't done so yet. So as the question was implying that we need to update the L&D strategy in the company, and companies who are not up to date, like if your L&D strategy is 5 years old, then your talent might not be relevant from five years from now. And 5 years still at this age is a long time. I remember when I started my bachelor studies in the year 2000, one of my professors was talking about the short-term strategy and long-term strategy. And at the time, short-term strategy was 5 years, and long-term strategy was 10 to 15 years. But now, with the discussions that we have nowadays, and with AI and with all the changes that are happening, short-term strategy is actually 1 year, and the mid-term and long strategy is 2+ years. So the changes are happening really fast. And if you want to be up to date, if you want your talent to be relevant, you have to review on the strategy. You have to review learnings every 1 or 2 years. And if you go to the next slide, we're talking about static learning. That is that what do we mean by static learning? The static learning is if a CEO joins the company, they go through the same learning process as if a data analyst joins the company. They go through the same learning process. They go through the same path. That's the same. They go through the same contents. But actually, the learning needs of the CEO is completely different from a project manager. The learning from a data analyst is very different from that of a project manager. And what I would like to invite everybody today, that just let's create this space that we rethink about organizational learning and development. And we're not talking about future, because I'm going to give you ideas. I'm going to talk about the possibilities. But Marc, the speaker after me, is going to show you what is happening now. And everything that we're talking, it is possible to implement today. So please get in touch to learn more. And please put in the chats if you have any questions. We'll be happy to discuss and learn and see what are your needs as well. So if you go to the next slide, we're going to talk about how AI is now changing the learning and development inside companies. Basically, AI is providing adaptive learning based on employees' need and also based on business. We know that the growth of employees is essential to the growth of companies, and companies who are constantly skilling, reskilling, upskilling their staff are more successful. A lot of major consulting firms in the world, they made it mandatory for the staff to go through courses, to go through learnings inside the company, and they follow up on those learnings. And we want smaller companies, medium-sized companies also to get inspiration to do the same, and to make it mandatory for the staff to have learning based on their roles and based on their requirements. So now let's see what are the possibilities with AI. If you go to the next slide, yes. So AI is actually a learning partner. It helps to define learning paths. It helps to have automated onboarding flows, and also It helps to bring Q&A via AI agents or AI chats. And also it can give insights to the organization, who's learning what, at what level they are, and then what are the rooms for improvement for employees. So let's discuss the first one, which is AI-driven learning path. If we go to the next slide, yes. So AI can help bring personalized content for each employee's role. As I mentioned, for example, if a CEO is joining, you can configure in AI that this person is a CEO. These are the requirements, and the content would be automatically adjusted based on the role of the CEO. And if a data analyst joins, the contents would be automatically adjusted based on the role of data analyst. And so the learners would be the content would be very much adapted to that of the employee roles and the goals, and also the requirements. I think in the previous session, we also discussed if there are learning limitations, like for example, if we have people who are colorblind, maybe the content would be adjusted to so the employees can adjust more to the colors of the screen. Or if they're dyslexic, they would be more comfortable with the learning environment. So AI can bring all those possibilities inside. The content would be very, very useful, but would be very efficient. So you're not wasting employees' time. You're not wasting anybody's time at the organization, and they will learn and grow for the purpose of their roles and for the goals that they need to follow. And the second one is that automated onboarding flows. And what I mean by this is that the steps that they need to follow would be adjusted based on the role. So if the CEO needs to learn about the basic of the organization and the basic of the roles and the network and also the different paths, would be only for the CEO. The data analyst, if they go through certain steps of learning, then those would be adjusted for the roles of the data analyst. So the reason that I'm bringing the contracts, I just want you to think that the flows, the onboarding flows, the learning and development flows for different employees inside the organization, the steps that they have to take to stay relevant in the organization, to stay informed about the tasks is completely different, and it should be reflected in the learning and developments inside the organization. And this helps them to integrate much faster, to become more efficient inside the organization, and to stay relevant for the coming years to come. So it's really important to have the step adjusted to the employees. Another major step, which is already very, very useful, is to have AI agents. And by this, I mean to have a chatbot. It can be as easy as a chatbot inside your learning environment that employees, they can just go to the chatbot and ask questions. So yes, of course, they have to follow the learning path. They have to follow certain steps. The first step of onboarding or learning, and the second to go through steps. But sometimes they just find out how to submit an order, how to perform a certain task inside an organization. Who are the suppliers? So instead of going to the manager and asking all those questions, they can just refer to the agents and ask the questions, and then immediately to get answers. We've seen a lot inside organizations that to set up meetings, discuss issues, discuss things that can be solved via an AI agent, a chatbot inside the intranet, inside the learning environment. So this can be very, very efficient. Instead of going back and forth to the hiring manager, to HR, to different people for trivial questions, they can ask the chatbot and come with the questions as well. And finally, if you implement all that inside the organization, because it's been empowered by AI, all the steps are defined and automated by AI, then you can measure which employee went through which learning path, Did they have difficulties? Did they follow the whole program or not? If the program was, or the video was 10 minutes and they dropped halfway, what was the reason? And if you see that everybody's dropping halfway, or if everybody's not following up the trainings, what is the reason? Then you can adjust, you can improve based on the data, but based on the feedback that you receive from employees, and you can see in real time was followed what training. Maybe they have more questions, or that they're asking on the chatbot questions that are related to one of the trainings that maybe is not clear inside the organization. Maybe you have to change the content of the training. So it's really, really important to have this data-driven, all the data that is coming from the learnings of employees. And then you can also, based on that, if you see that the employees have followed all the trainings, then you can bring new trainings. You can upskill the employees. You can reskill the employees, and it can be life-changing. All these data that you're gathering, you're bringing inside the organization, they can be life-changing. Because at the moment we hear a lot of organizations are letting go of their employees because their talent, the skills that they hired a couple of years ago is not relevant anymore. But actually the organization could have reskilled all those employees. They could have taught them new talents. They could have help their growth paths. And but yeah, they're firing, but at the same time they're hiring people with the talent that they require. So it definitely encourage companies to have an AI power, to have very good, effective learning environments that the employees learn, stay relevant, and stay inside the company. Because we know that hiring can be very costly. We know that letting go of people, firing people, can also be very costly. So these learning and development environment inside organizations can be life-changing. And this is the main message of today that we wanted to, that I wanted to actually give to our audience now. And I think this is the time now I pass the mic to Marc. That he's going to show us the real environment of how AI can help.
Yes, but before
yes, you have another
one more question for you, for the audience, that I will publish now. You'll find it again in the polls. So, would you feel comfortable if AI tracked your learning progress in real time? Yes, it's an option, as long as the data is transparent. Maybe, depends on who has access, or no, it feels invasive. We'd be curious to hear your vote about this. And yes, after this, we will jump right in with Marc's presentation. Well, but thank you, Shokoofeh, for your very nice and insightful presentation. I think there's a lot to take away from this presentation. And don't worry, you will all receive the recording after the webinar, so you can always go back to certain moments of the presentation and hear it all again. You will receive the recording automatically, but we will also upload a YouTube link so you can easily share the video with colleagues or friends or interested people. Well, but thank you, Shokoofeh, for your very nice and insightful presentation. I think there's a lot to take away from this presentation. And don't worry, you will all receive the recording after the webinar, so you can always go back to certain moments of the presentation and hear it all again. So we have a trend here in our votes. Interestingly, it does not feel too invasive. We have quite the confidence in the systems. A majority who says it depends on who has access, and also almost half of the votes, yes, as long as the data is transparent. Marc, would you like to?
Really interesting result, because especially in this day and age where we are talking a lot about what the impact is of AI and privacy. I think this is a really good one to see, that people are more and more aware of that they are sharing data, right? And not just on social media, but also what they do within the workplace. And for us as a European company, we've always been very keen on building secure and privacy-aware systems. And it's nice to see this trend is continuing, where we just not simply use the technology and don't really think about what happens to our data and our privacy. So that's an interesting one that really fits into, I think, the time we're in right now with all the different geopolitics that is happening here. So again, good morning. My name is Marc Leidner. I'm the founder and CTO of Fellow Digitals, and I'm here to show you some practical examples of how we are using AI very soon in our products, and how it's transforming learning and onboarding in the workplace. So let me share my screen. Where is the button? Because I want to show you a yeah, you can see it, right? So I want to show you a virtual restaurant, and this is called Fresh Roots. It's a food company, and they run a couple of formulas across different countries. And what we see here is their online academy. Now, we here at Fellow Digitals offer this platform called Fellow LMS, and it has been around for about 10 years now. And it really combines all the tools to facilitate onboarding and training of employees. But what it also does, it provides features to improve team building. So it's not just an LMS where you learn stuff, but it's also a knowledge base, and it's a platform all in one. So what we here see is the portal page of this this Fresh Roots company, and what you see here, there's lots of information about what the company is all about. A lot of stuff that the new employees, but also the employees that are already in the company, can see what the company's goals are, what the mission is, etc. So there's not just courses, but also events. We also have a training center. So here with, oh, that's not the one. Yes, the training center with courses. News, comments. There's also a social feed. There's workspaces where people can share their knowledge. So the whole idea behind is that you just don't only want to train the employees and putting knowledge into their heads through courses, but also make a place where people feel right at home, so they're more engaged and want to will be able to do their job better and deliver excellent service to the customer. Now, in this example, in the restaurant business, let me go here. Traditional trainings obviously don't really work anymore. There's many people that join the company. There's lots of turnover of employees, and the time often is very limited to train new people on the job. So the example I'm going to show you here today is about a newly hired employee that is joining the kitchen. Now, instead of flipping through a binder with lots of papers and documents or waiting for somebody to explain stuff, they have now access to a clear mobile learning experience with interactive trainings, videos, and practical micro learnings. So what we see here is a online an onboarding program with lots of courses he can do. So one of the more traditional forms of training is this onboarding course, where you can watch a video, for instance.
Welcome to the team. Working in a professional kitchen like ours means more than just cooking great food. It's about teamwork, responsibility, and attention to detail.
So we have a video, and then we have text. We can have questions, of course, where you can test your learner's knowledge. And the whole idea of our platform has always been that these courses can be created by the people inside your company without leaving the LMS, right? So there's built-in tools to create new content, add images, text, many different question types, etc. So it's really easy to create these courses either from scratch or by converting existing documents. Now, what Shokoofeh is also saying is that this is the more traditional way of doing e-learning, right? With plenty of text. And sometimes for people who are not that into reading, it can be a little bit, well, let's say boring or time consuming. So for these people that don't have a lot of time, we now are introducing a new format, and that's what we call the micro-learning format, right? So let me show you another example of a similar course to onboard people who are going to work in the kitchen. Is what we call this new format in story decks. And this is basically focused on a content delivery form that's much more like what we are used to nowadays with short TikToks and Instagram stories. So it's short courses based on a deck of cards that are easily flipped through. Here we see the same video again, the same lady. Also, again, with questions. And the whole idea is that it's very easy to distribute this content on a mobile first basis, right? So you can simply send out a link to your new employees and they can do these e-learnings right from their phone without going through difficult login procedures, etc. And here we see an example, of course, for joining a kitchen in a restaurant, but of course you can make different kinds of stories here, like dealing with guest complaints or barista basics or even cocktail recipes, right? And what we see is that using this format is much easier and more fun to do. So it will create a higher employee confidence and a better service quality. Now, I told you already that we really like to help our customers by creating their own e-learning courses and not be reliant on third-party authoring software or even expensive e-learning consultants or IT departments, right? So what we have is the built-in editor. So the course that you see here is very easy to create and manipulate. So I can easily change the text, make stuff bold, etc. I could even move the image to the bottom here or change the image. So let me search for restaurant and let me take another picture. I can even add more cards with new text, etc. Or I can create additional questions like, what do you think about this course? And people obviously can then vote. And you can easily switch to the preview mode or to the editor. And it's even easier to rearrange stuff if you want to. And everything you do now is directly published into the LMS. Now, what we really like about is that what we see in our with our customers, that when you create a course by yourself, especially in a more traditional format with long pages, it's often very hard to create a good story outline. So let's be honest, most people aren't skilled educators. Most of us are just professionals with a lot of knowledge about our work, and we simply need to instruct our fellow employees. So it can be really hard to write a good storyline and to write the actual content. And it's even harder to come up with decent quiz questions if you want to test your knowledge. So finally, and this is something that we have been looking into for many years already. So with the new AI features that are now available, we can now use AI to help us create these courses. So let me show you an example. So I'm going to show you a source document here. So we have this very boring Word document that contains all the instructions that new kitchen employees need to learn, right? So of course, we're not going to hand them out this document because nobody obviously will read it, let alone remember what's going on. So my job now here is to transform this document into a training course. So what I would do now is to go into the course directory, click create, generate course. I'm going to upload this file. So here's the kitchen stuff.x, and I'm going to transform this into a course. Now, of course, I can use many different documents for this. So we support Word, PDF, PowerPoint. Soon we'll also do speech to text. And you can use all different kinds of documents, right? So policies or service guidelines or training manuals that are all in classic form. So what is happening here now is that our AI is now actually reading the text, analyzing it, creating a course outline, writing the text to put on the cards, and it will create quiz questions. Then it will also go on the internet, do a search and find pictures to illustrate the content so it won't be a boring course. This is going to take a little while, but still it's way faster than if you would do it manually. So normally what we do is, hey, go out and grab a cup of coffee and the system will email you once the course is ready. But of course, I don't want you to go now and get a cup of coffee because I really want you to see the results. So we're actually quite, no, there it is. So this time, I must be honest, it's a little bit quicker than usually. So that is great. So here, this just was created while I was talking, right? So it transformed the course into this deck of cards. Now, let's have a look and see what we have here. So, well, it's not really yet done, but it took the document, creates new quiz questions, finds pictures, and you see there's some of the stuff is not really yet perfect. So I see the text here is a little bit out of the way, so I can easily adjust this. But you see here, this is about personal hygiene, very important in the kitchen, and it found a picture that we can use here. Food safety. So, and of course, I can make changes here as well, right? So if I say, well, I don't really like the picture that is used here. So this is quite a nasty accident that happened there. So maybe I want to change the image. I can still do that, right? So I can go in here, restaurant safety, and let's see what we have here. Well, this is a more suitable picture, right? It still could be a problem, maybe not. I expect this cook knows what he's doing. So here you see a great example of how fast you could create a new course. And of course, you can use any different content you'd like, create many different courses. And what is especially nice about this that it's very visual. So it's really easy to consume. It's very fun to do and much quicker also to learn. So remember that I showed you the video earlier. So let me go back to my other course. So actually this video here is
Responsibility
AI
and
generated as well. So generating videos like this can be done from our software as well. So what you see here, when I click on edit, I here see the script that this lady is reading. So it says, welcome to the team, working in a professional kitchen, blah, blah, blah. And here you can choose from different avatars, and we're adding new avatars all the time. So you can choose the character that matches your audience the best. So when I would change it, it will regenerate the video with a new avatar and a new script. So this is really powerful. So what I simply could do is create a new video, generate video, enter the script, and click generate. So let's try this. Oh, I already did. So let me get this text. Generate video. I'll let Caroline talk to us. So this is gonna do its job while we wait. And there's one more thing that I really would like to show you is that, of course, when you work in an international company such as Fresh Fruits, we have many different locations all over the world, many different employees with different backgrounds. So what also is very important that the content is being translated to the language that the employee speaks. So what you can now do is to simply go into the course and click duplicate, and one can translate the content from English into, for instance, Chinese. So here you go. So now what you see is the same course that we had before, but now in Chinese. And actually the video is still now being prepared in English, but it will later on, it will also be translated into Chinese as well, because it's based on the script that we provided. So yeah, that's a quick look of what you can do with our platform and using AI. These features will be available really soon. Yeah, I hope there are some questions maybe that you would like to ask us about this.
There is certainly some questions from the audience. Let me see. We have some questions for Shokoofeh and some questions for Marc. But as we are now in Marc's presentation, I will start with the questions that are more for you, Marc. There's one question. If we upload our own images or sensitive information, how is the data protection for company used? Will these upload into your system database?
Yes. So we are a SaaS company, so it's software as a service. We are a European company. We are ISO certified, fully GDPR compliant. All our data is stored in either Europe or for our customers in Asia, in Singapore. We don't work with data centers outside of these regions. And of course, we are audited every year, and everything is secured by the latest standards. Yeah.
Next question is your platform compatible with the SCORM format, import and export?
Yes. So we can play back existing SCORM courses, no problem. And we are currently also working towards making the courses you generate using the tooling I just demoed, to also make these available via remote SCORM. So that would mean if you have your own existing LMS, for instance, the SAP platform, you could remotely load the content within your own LMS. We also support LTI for this, by the way, which is already available.
Okay, another question is, it looks like 7 tabs, which I've never used, but I've seen a similar design. If not, what makes it different from that?
Okay, so it is very similar, that's true. The thing is, we do much more than 7 tabs. So 7 tabs is really focused on just creating the micro courses. We are a full platform that's also an LMS. So aside from creating your courses in a more traditional format or the micro learning format, we also have a knowledge base. So you can, aside from offering learning courses, build an entire knowledge base with document structures. There's the social features as well. So we are much more than just the e-learning tooling. So earlier this morning, we talked also about AI assistance. So currently what's also in development with our company is by enabling a very powerful search feature that not only searches inside courses, but also in a knowledge base with all the documents that you share. So yeah, it's much more than that. Also, we are much more focused on an international market with multilingual features, etc.
Yes, that was a different question from the audience. What about different languages? How easily can you do that?
Yeah, so we support a lot of languages. So here's a list of languages that are that we support in the UI. That means the user interface of the platform is translated already in all these languages. Then for translating the content, we can support even more. So for most European languages, we work with DeepL, the German automatic translation software, but we also can connect with Google Translate to translate languages that are not supported yet by DeepL.
And in your experience, how does a system like yours work with employees that are not exposed to digital working environments, like warehouse employees across multiple companies of the corporation?
Yeah, so this is really where we think the micro-learning format shines. So people that are not in the office, not the so-called knowledge workers, right? That don't sit on a desk and don't use a laptop or a computer, they have smartphones, right? So the micro-learning format really is really suitable for employees in that only have the smartphone. So the system can push out links or invites to these courses, and they can be opened directly from the phone. We do have an app. There's an iOS and Android app. However, it's not mandatory to use it. So all the content is also web-based available. So when you want to invite new employees, maybe also people that are not yet in your own system, you can send them an email or a text message with an invite, and they can take the course. So there's no way to, yeah.
Great. There's one last question I would like to take from the audience for you, Marc, and then we'll switch to those that were meant for Shokoofeh. How is this platform personalized about the AI-driven learning path for different role and job scope?
Yeah. So this is really some of the stuff that we really would like to do soon. However, we believe at this stage, AI is not really yet reliable enough to trust it 100%. So what we chose to do is to first make sure that creating content is going much easier. Well, we've seen that this morning. Because we really believe that when you train your employees, you want them to train the right stuff. So if we are gonna let AI make up company policies that your employees are going to adopt, that's probably not a good idea. So the first step that we're working on now is to make sure that we can much easier, much quicker than before create new content, create different forms of content for different types of employees, not just job types, but also, well, like we talked about, some people maybe more into reading, others like more into are more visualized, but maybe we can also create courses in the form of podcasts, right? So, and we still believe that we should first do that well. And then the next step, of course, will be to, when AI further improves, to adapt that more dynamically. But I think we're not there yet, but it's definitely something that we want to do.
Great. There's a question for Shokoofeh. Can AI help with stuff like communication or leadership, or just technical skills?
Yeah, what I think, depending on the type of what you mean by technical skill. So I think the format that you see here, especially with the microlearning, is really nice for how-to guides, right? So how should I operate this machine? Which steps do I need to take to to make an espresso, for instance? On the other hand, you could also create courses that steer on behavioral change, right? So how should you deal with customer complaints? Or you could also think about, if you want, as a company, you want to make sure that everybody on the work floor knows what the mission is, what the way of communication should be. You can also create shorter stories and just explain that to them. So the possibilities are virtual endless, as long as you put it into a nice, compelling format, of course.
Absolutely. And I would like to add that you can also create different groups here. different networks, and employees can join those different networks or trainings, as we see here. Could be also book clubs or different leadership groups that they can join and learn. So it's the platform is really, really flexible for different options. It's not only technical skills, it can be also leadership skills, it can be networking, it can be book clubs. The possibilities are endless, and you can play with it the way that you want, in terms of colors, in terms of content, in terms of videos and text. So yeah, it's really, really flexible.
We also got some feedback here. It said the tool looks great, is all available on mobile, and I can really see employees learn on their way to their job. But there's a question, and I think that's the last question we can tackle right now. Can a student ask a specific question and get directed to the right course or microlearning? Is that possible?
At this time, you can use the search to find courses. So there's a search here. So let's search for kitchen. But this is obviously just a normal full text search, but it will also direct you to the content within the course. So at this time, we do not yet have a way to dynamically create a learning path for users. However, there's many options to create predefined learning journeys, right? So you could set up a program for people who join the kitchen, for people who are going to work in the front office. And of course, there's many ways to present new courses through the portal like this, right? So you could see many different courses here where you could flip through. So there's many ways you can customize the platform to allow employees to discover new content.
Thank you. And one last question that was asked in the very beginning, so I would not want to forget about that. In a company with a slow and static L&D approach for a heterogeneous workforce of production line workers and office-based employees, how do you recommend to take influence in the L&D approach as an employee or perhaps a team lead?
I'm not sure if I
Yes, I think it's a
understand
lot
the
of
question.
questions in one. I think it's mostly about the L&D approach. So I think maybe mostly for Shokoofeh, this question. How can you, make sure to address a heterogeneous workforce group with production line workers and office-based employees?
Well, I think as the same that Marc also presented, you can make it as fun as possible for the production workers and office employees to cater different needs, to cater different preferences. It's possible to play with the platform and make it fun. I know that some jobs can be very boring or very monotonous in a sense, but the onboarding platform, Fellow Digitals, can make it really adapted and interesting for different levels inside the organization.
Yeah, so one of the things that's nice about our platform is that we don't just do the courses, right? But it's also like an intranet. So you could really connect the people that work in the office with the people that are outside in the front line, right? So you could connect people. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's a nice answer. I would like to round up with one last poll question for the audience. It's published right now. Do you think AI tools might replace certain L&D roles in the future or just reshape them? A is they'll reshape roles, L&D becomes more strategic. Or B, some administrative L&D tasks may be replaced. Or C, I'm concerned it could lead to job cuts. So while you are submitting your vote, I would like to thank both of you, Marc and Shokoofeh, for those very insightful presentations. As I said, yes, everyone will receive a link to the recording later on, so don't worry if you did not take notes or did not grasp everything in detail, you can always go back. And I think there was a lot to see, so thank you both. That was very, very interesting and very rich. Yes. Now, well, for me to say, it was very interesting, and I would hope to see you all in the next webinar. Let's stay in touch. Connect with Shokoofeh and Marc on LinkedIn if you like, and most of all, stay tuned about more content coming from us. We try to keep you posted on everything that's going on in the world of HR and L&D, especially learning tools, community tools, of course. Thank you all. Have a really great day and hope to see you again.
Thank you for joining. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.